It was a failed experiment that led to history's biggest nuclear disaster. In April 1986, the Chernobyl reactor exploded as a result of the wrong individuals being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
They had very poor knowledge of the physics of the reactor. They knew the manual and what buttons to push, but that's it. They knew nothing of the reactor physics. The personnel drove the reactor into a state that was out of control.
While the authorities clearly knew who to blame for the fallout, even the Soviet Union's top scientists were at a loss as to what to do in the days the catastrophe unfolded.
A nuclear power station as an emission-free facility. This was something unseen before. A nuclear power station with flames and smoke over it.
Quarter of a century on, history seems to be repeating in Japan. Despite the authorities' claims there of having the situation under control, the Fukushima nuclear power plant has already seen explosions. And that's despite advanced safety systems, which the Chernobyl reactor never had.
If we look towards the earthquake, the reaction was completely as foreseen, means the shutdown of the reactors happened as it should be happening. And this is very exceptional to have such an enormous tsunami that have disabled the diesel generators.
That such a situation is unfolding in one of the world's most technologically advanced countries has heightened the sense of alarm internationally. But some experts say one should look into how the Japanese have been dealing with nuclear physics to get clues as to their continuing difficulties in dealing with a disaster.
So the technology is decades old. The society, the government, the regulators believe that the technology can be operated safely, but there's a built-in psychological complacency that if you're operating something that's so inherently dangerous, when you go to work every day, do you keep thinking about how dangerous that technology is? That would be, over time, rather damaging psychologically. So in other words, they convince themselves that they've mastered this technology. And unfortunately, with nuclear power, there's no second chance.
The Japanese nuclear drama is certainly not the first case of man's over-reliance on technology. It can be a dangerous friend, and when mishandled, can strike in disastrous fashion.
We have always seen this with these, what they call technogenic disasters. You remember last year there was that massive oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico. Again, you had a very competent, famous company that seemed to know what it was doing, but they simply hadn't planned for conjuncture of conditions that would create the disaster. So this is the human condition. We simply aren't able, it seems, to handle these technologies. We're probably not ready for them.
The nightmare that the Chernobyl reactor became was eventually sealed off within a massive concrete tomb called the sarcophagus. The catastrophe provided valuable lessons in how to deal with a reactor disaster, but also stern warnings about the dangers of nuclear energy. What new lessons will be learned and what implications they will have for nuclear technology, the world nervously waits to see. Alexei Rashevsky, RT.